Ladies and gentlemen, hello to all of you from Brussels. Usually when I record these video messages, I begin by apologizing for not actually being at the meeting or conference, often because I need to be somewhere else at the same time. This time is different, because this video will be shown on many different occasions all over Africa. It would be quite a journey for me to deliver it in person each time, an enjoyable one, no doubt, but Africa, it's a large continent. I want to tell you about the European Union's proposals for research funding for Africa. We published the so-called Africa Call on the 30th of July with a funding from the European Union of 63 million euro. We are asking for your proposals before 14th January 2010. I'm sure that as researchers you will be mainly interested in the practicalities, what kind of projects, what kind of research might receive funding. I will describe the calls briefly now, but you will have to read the details for yourselves. You will find the internet address for further details at the end of my presentation. But it is important to understand a little of the background, because I hope that this is the beginning of something new and something different for African research. Africa faces today important environmental and socio-economic challenges: climate change, energy, water quality and health issues, population growth and large-scale urbanization, with associated impacts on natural resources, biodiversity and food. I believe that good quality research and good quality science base is fundamental to solving these challenges in Africa as in the rest of the world. In Africa, everybody, from ministers to farmers to mothers, needs to be able to base their decisions and their behavior on the best scientific knowledge. There is nothing new in the European Commission cooperating with European Union researchers and institutions to build this scientific knowledge. Between 2002 and 2006, we provided 94 million euros for more than 800 African institutions, particularly for work on environment, agriculture and health. And in the first 2 years of the current 7th Framework Programme for Research, we already have more than 380 African successful applications related to about 50 million euros of funding. Indeed, African participation in the programme is becoming as large as the participation of all the industrialized countries put together. But this call is different, a bit special. It is different because this time the priority research areas were chosen by Africa. They are not only relevant to Africa's needs, but based on existing African capacity. This is a significant move from old-style scientific cooperation with European scientists, research organizations, and founders deciding what's best for Africa, to a new situation where research is managed by African institutions via partnership with Europe. It is different because these priorities fit into a continent-to-continent framework. The Partnership on Science, Information Society and Space, signed back in December 2007, provides this new vision for research activity. And it is a vision signed up to by the African Union and the European Union, but also by their 80 individual member states in Africa and Europe. Our cooperation in science and research is moving from the traditional technology transfer and technological assistance to a real cooperation that will help to strengthen research excellence, that will create the conditions to enhance adaptive research through the involvement of excellent local scientists, that will combine the latest scientific knowledge with the local knowledge that can unlock its potential and also maximize its impact. The participation of relevant local stakeholders is also essential to enhance good governance. The Africa Call isn't only about carrying out research, but will also help strengthen local capacities using appropriate training activities and exchanges of staff. Building a better African science capacity in Africa will have a great long-term benefits. So, what are the research topics in this call? The call has a multidisciplinary approach trying to integrate various scientific research fields such as food, agriculture, health, land and water in the African basins. We expect to select at least 10 research-based specific international cooperation actions and 5 coordination and support actions covering detailed research topics. The participation of African and European researchers in all projects must be balanced. The research will have to address the main challenges of today, such as climate and demographic changes. But it must also address broader socioeconomic factors such as migration, resettlements, urbanizations, healthcare systems, destabilization of national food reserves, food and oil prices. So, first, let's look at health. The continuing high mortality of mothers and newborns will be addressed through research into developing effective, innovative, and comprehensive interventions. As I saw for myself recently, malaria control remains a major challenge. Targeting transmission vectors has been a powerful approach, but new improved tools are urgently needed. Research will be supported on the impact of migration on health status, disease patterns, and health systems to provide better evidence for future policies. These specific health topics are complemented by a coordination action to build a sustainable health research capacity, encouraging networks of existing or emerging African research and teaching centers. And the human resource crisis in the health sector will be addressed via research on effective policies and key interventions also. Now let's look at environmental challenges. The call addresses important African environmental challenges to consolidate knowledge or integrated water resource management, to reduce the risk of water-related conflicts and to improve food security. It also addresses the development of drought monitoring and forecasting systems, decentralized water supply, and sanitation technologies and systems for small communities and peri-urban areas, perhaps the only suitable options in Africa where water supply is limited. And with a link to the health theme, the call also gives emphasis to water-related vector-borne diseases, an important emerging problem. Finally, the call will also address food, agriculture and fisheries, and biotechnology. For agriculture, the call addresses soil erosion, salinization, soil fertility, and pollution of fresh waters. These constitute to be serious threats to food production, but they can be much reduced by better agricultural water management. One topic will support research on sustainable management of soil and irrigated water, considering the increasing demand for locally produced food, the need for a more sustainable food production, and technologies for irrigated farms. Other topics address malnutrition in Africa and the potential of biotechnology to cope with water scarcity. So that is a quick summary of the Africa call. The details you will need to read for yourself, but a full information pack and all the documents for submissions are available, as I already mentioned, at the internet address at the end of this message. This call is not the only early step. With the help of the European Commission and the ACP Secretariat, the African Union Commission will launch a new research initiative at the beginning of 2010, the African Research Grant. This will make 15 million euros available, offered through up to 3 calls for proposals on scientific topics defined by the African research community. The African Research Grant will have a double impact. It will create a system of competitive research grants on a pan-African level to increase research excellence, of course, and it will also help to build up the capacity for research program management in the African Union Commission itself. Finally, about the future of our African-European Union partnership. This Africa call and the forthcoming African research grants are only the first actions of a longer-term partnership in science between Africa and the European Union, which is itself one of 8 partnerships within the much broader joint Africa-European Union strategy. These are early European contributions to the beginning of a genuinely African science strategy. Partnership is not just a word. It is a different way to approach problems and to work together. And researchers are used to working together to succeed. This is why Partnership 8 of the Joint Africa-European Union strategy has the chance to become the example in the implementation of the partnership cooperation approach, moving from donorship to a real partnership. But let me say that this is enough from me. I would just like to wish you the best of luck putting together successful research proposals, and I hope they are just the first one of many.